Hey everyone, this is Looking for a Scrap, and The Hunted's coming out next week, and pre-releases are starting this weekend, so what better way to kick it off than with a list of my top 10 cards from The Hunted for Classic Constructed. As a disclaimer, this is what I was really testing out against and testing out with The Hunted for this past week and what cards I thought seemed pretty good. So this list primarily comes from someone that played a lot of IRA pre and post ban. But anyways, if you like this kind of content and want to see more of this and budget and jank deck techs and play and gameplay, make sure you like, subscribe, and follow me on Blue Sky. And the Blue Sky is in the description down below. So let's get right into it. We're going to start off with some of my honorable mentions. We have Stains of the Redback. It is a rare assassin attack reaction that comes in all three colors, and at red, it's effectively a 0 for 3 for +3 and go again, because they're going to be marked and cost 1 less to play, so it's very efficient. The other colors aren't as good as the red one, but it's still very good at red. I thought I mentioned all three colors because it's a cycle. It's very efficient, and even if you are an agent of chaos instead of the base marionette, it still gives go again. The card's very good. I want to mention also Blood Runs Deep. The staple in Syndra decks, it gives to deck additional about 4 damage minimum for the turn if you don't play anything that gives your draconic attacks +1, like Spreading Flames, etc. Provoke is a second it's the second good blue warrior card. My warrior fans out there would laugh at that one. It blocks for 3. It disrupts aggressive opponents. It's a good blue. Rotten Remains, pretty cool card for especially for the assassin mirrors and sometimes maybe Ira if you're running Looking for Scrap and you're running all the one attack blues. It can get pretty huge. It could be like a one card, like maybe like 5 or 6 as a blue, and it could threaten to banish daggers in case of retrieve cards or in case of you're going against Syndra, who can buy back her daggers with her hero ability. So that means Syndra would have to pitch in whole blue or whole 3 cards to stop you from banishing her daggers from her graveyard. We also have a couple more honorable mentions. Cut Through is pretty good at red. And 0 for 4 go again, it's pretty good, especially in Ira. You can even trigger or get the not trigger, but get the +1 in the go again if you use Flick Knives and flick your dagger at your opponent before you move on to the damage step. So then it will get +1 and go again in the reactions, which is pretty good. It can be really pretty tricky. Never Spider, it's a pretty easy way to mark your opponent. A lot of attacks have go again now, especially against like the aggressive decks. There's a lot of aggressive decks in the format. And then we have Trot Along. Trot Along is a pretty good generic action, actually. It's a very good way to give go again to the warrior weapons. Blue Precision Press is notably very power crept by this card. It also happens to be pretty good in decks like Florian, who can try to use this to go wide with Reaping Blade and a Decompose attack, and of course in some other decks that normally can't go wide. I really like Trot Along. And let's get into the top 10. Number 10, we have Oath of Loyalty. It's a red 0 for 4, blocks for 3, go again. Draconic action, attack. It's only playable as your first action of the turn, and you can only play cards this turn if they're Draconic, which means you can still play them if they gain Draconic from Fealty and cards like Bramble Cinderclaw. This card, I think, is very good. It's a Draconic starter that blocks for 3 and costs 0 and attacks for 4. Blocking for 3 is extremely important, especially since 2 of these cards can get stuck in your hand because you can only play one of them in the turn because it needs to be the first action you play this turn. But blocking for 3 is also really good because a lot of the 0 cost go again cards are usually like head jabs, which are 0 for 3s that only block for 2. So this is very aggressively costed because it's a 0 for 4 that blocks for 3. It's very good. I think this is probably the best Draconic starter in the game right now. I think that all 3 Draconic heroes can use this. Good Draconic starters are at a premium, and all of the Draconic heroes currently legal in Classic Constructed use the number of Draconic chain links that gain a bonus. Like Fang uses Draconic chain links to generate fealty off of Loyalty and other cards like that. Fi uses the links for Searing Emberblade and its hero ability, and Syndra also uses the links for her hero ability to buy back the daggers. So that is number 10, Oath of Loyalty. Number 9, we have Sound Alarm. It's a red 1 for 5 generic attack action that blocks for 3 It says when it attacks a hero, you see their hand. If they have an attack reaction in hand, you get to put a defense reaction on top of your deck, from your deck. It's very good at getting information from your opponent. Flesh and Blood is very you get a huge advantage if you have more information about what your opponent has in their hand. So a lot of the a lot of the heroes in this game rely on good sequencing. For example, like basically pretty much everyone except Guardian, I think. um, Even Guardian, you can try to expect like certain attacks to arsenal certain cards. But like all three of the hunted heroes rely on sequencing because like they have a lot of go again, a lot of go wide. But even like heroes like Ira rely on sequencing a lot. So here's an example of how good this card is. If you attack Ira and they reveal a blue and a command and conquer in hand, like so, now you know that you should not throw your one block equipment like Pouncing Paws in front of the first Kodachi to prevent the mask momentum, but instead you know that hey, they might attack me with Command and Conquer for 7. So either I save the Pouncing Paws for the Command and Conquer, or I just don't put a good card in my arsenal to get destroyed by Command and Conquer. So Sound Alarm is a great card. It also comes out rare, so it's pretty good for budget. 1 for 5, blocks for 3. What more can I say? Probably one of the best rares in the set. I would say that. But the next card is a pretty good rare too. Number 8, we have Up Sticks and Run. It's a 0-cost assassin or ninja action at rare in all colors and it blocks for 2. It says you may retrieve a dagger from your graveyard, which means you may pay an additional resource to re-equip your dagger from your graveyard, and your next dagger attack this turn gets +4 at red, or +3 at yellow, or +2 at blue. Now, obviously, I don't know. So yesterday, we got a ban announcement. It's an emergency ban announcement for the banning of Zephyr Needle. So Zephyr Needle is a ninja weapon dagger for one. It's a one-handed ninja weapon dagger. Once per turn action, 1 resource, attack, go again. If Zephyr Needle is defended by a card that has more defense than Zephyr Needle's power, then you destroy Zephyr Needle when the combat chain closes. So obviously this retrieve mechanic is pretty broken with Zephyr Needle. So the downside of breaking Zephyr Needle is completely negated because you can just buy back the dagger. So sometimes you're even happy to get this dagger blown up because you can just pick up the needle with Up Sticks and Run by paying an additional resource, and then you can attack with that needle the same turn because it's a new object. Before the hunted, Ira usually used Zephyr Needle to put +1 on her needles, so you can only break it with defense reaction. And even then, you don't really want to break it because you're spending 1 whole card to prevent like 1 resource, which is basically 1/3 of a card. So yeah, recently they announced, LSS announced that they would ban Zephyr Needle as of January 31st, 2025, which is next week, the release of the Hunted. They said mainly because it's Ira, but really all the ninjas would use this. Even Fi and Zen. I think Zen was probably the best ninja to use needles because he could pressure so much, and Zen is already really annoying. Zen was already really annoying with needles back in the Misfill meta when he had all bonds. Sometimes he would just run Zephyr Needle in the aggro mirror because if your opponent blocked Needle, you were very happy. Personally, I do agree with this ban. Even if Needle Sticks Ira wasn't the definitive best deck in the format, it's not. I don't think it's healthy for the game because Needle Sticks Ira is a deck that just played itself. And I think it was way too easy for the Ira player to just stumble their way into victory. As an example, this is the deck I was playing this past week. And I played so many games with Sticks Needle Ira that I had no business winning, but I won anyways because Zephyr Needle just put so much pressure turn after turn that it was just crazy. Sometimes you would get like 2 extra value a turn, sometimes you get like 4 extra value a turn. It was crazy. Think about this. Compared to Harmonious Kodachi, which is 1 power, 1 needle over 4 turns is an extra 4 damage, which is like 10% of their life gone with no drawback because of Up Sticks and Run and Retrieve and no real counterplay. So yeah, it was a good thing that Zephyr Needle got banned, and I really like the retrieve mechanic because even though that needle is banned, Sticks still made it into the top 10 because I still think it's a very good card. For example, with flick knives, you can still flick a dagger and then pick it back up in that same turn, which means you could still kind of do the thing you did with Zephyr Needle. It's also an assassin card, so you can also flick cards like Hunter's Clave to trigger the on hit mark, and then still retrieve the dagger with up 6 run and just give your next dagger swing another additional damage buff. And it's also still pretty good with Kodachi's. I think Ira is still pretty strong with up 6 run. It's just not definitively like the easiest way to win anymore. You gotta play the game a little bit to get good value out of up 6 run instead of just Zephyr Needle for 10 turns in a row and then your opponent just dies. Maybe even 4 turns. Sometimes you get 4 turn kills with the deck. It was crazy. So that's up 6 run number 8. Number 7, we have Saber Bloodshed. It's a red 0-cost assassin warrior action. It blocks for 3, and it says you give your next dagger attack +4, and the next time you hit a marked hero with a dagger this turn, you draw a card. 0 for 1 card's pretty efficient. Usually, you don't see a 0 for 4 especially for a weapon, and it's pretty good. I think it's really good in assassins, as threatening Hunter's Clave is pretty good. Just giving your Hunter's Clave +4 and then marking them, and then you can swing your other Hunter's Clave to threaten a card draw. I think it's a pretty good card. Sometimes it also sees play in Fang because it's pretty efficient buff that can also threaten to draw a card. Solid card all around. That's number 7, Saber Bloodshed. Number 6, we have Long Whisker Loyalty. It's a Draconic Warrior attack reaction at red. It's a 0-cost, it blocks for 3, and it says for each Draconic Chain Link, you can choose one. So you can choose target dagger attack gets +2, one more attack with a dagger, or target dagger marks on its next hit. So you can choose all 3. If you have 3 Draconic Chain Links, you can only choose 1. If you only have 1 Draconic Chain Link, this card is extremely powerful for Fang. It puts on a lot more pressure. City and Firevein is pretty good with this card, of course. It's like it's made for the card or something. So you might be wondering why this card is on the top 10 and not Bloodrun Steep. I think this card is more core to Fang and is much more flexible, power card, which is why it's on this list over Bloodrun Steep. For example, you can just play this on 1 chain to threaten Mark and still get the +1 and go again to the dagger, City and Firevein. Or you can play it on 2 chain links to give a dagger +2 and mark. And then if you have a big power turn, you can do all 3 modes. I think this card is extremely flexible and playable at basically all points in the game. And that's why it's on the list as number 6, Long Whisker Loyalty. Number 5, we have Take Up the Mantle. It's a yellow 0-cost attack reaction for Assassin. It blocks for 3, and it says target attack action card with stealth gets +2, and if it's attacking a marked hero, instead it gets +3, and you can choose a attack action card with stealth from your graveyard to become a copy of that card, and you banish that card. So this card would not have normally been on this list if I made this list during early spoiler season. Some people might have seen that I thought this card was kind of bad early spoiler season because I did not know how easy it was to mark the opponent. If marking the opponent was really hard to do, this card I don't think would make it on this list. But then they revealed Hunter's Clave and now became trivial to mark the opponent, so this card makes it on the list of number 5. Turning your stealth card into a Bonds of Agony to rip away power cards for the rest of the game is just pretty good. Or you can just turn this to Kiss of Death and Slip Through the Cracks. Arachne Slip Through the Cracks, which is the adult version of Arachne Solitary Confinement, which gives your first stealth attack each turn go again. So even just giving turning into Kiss of Death for the toxicity combos is pretty funny. It's pretty cool. Take Up the Mantle is a very annoying power card that just keeps your opponent guessing, and that's why it makes it on number 5. Take Up the Mantle. Number 4, we have Quick Dodge Flexors. Some people might be surprised why this is much lower than so low, not number 1 on this list, but it's a generic leg equipment, not legendary, normally blocks for 0. It has a defense reaction ability, not once per turn, it's just defense reaction. For 1 resource, you can add this to the active chain link as a defending card, and it has 2 base defense power this chain link. It's a very good defensive leg equipment, and is now the best Guardian leg equipment, which is really funny. Notably with this ability, you can use this multiple times on a single unbroken combat chain. So if your opponent attacks with, let's say, 3 head jabs, which is 3 times for 3 damage each, you can pitch a blue to use quick dodge fluxers on each single attack without them breaking the combat chain. So you can turn your blue into a 6 value block card with just quick dodge reflexors and a blue. You can also think about it like using on a Blood Rush Fellow. A Blood Rush Fellow turn, if you use quick dodge reflexors with a single blue and they attack 3 times, you basically negated the entire Blood Rush Fellow with just a single blue. Quick dodge reflexors is very good. It's also hilarious in Zen because if Zen draws a double transcend turn, you can double transcend on your opponent's turn and use the 2 free 12 petal Kasai resources to activate quick dodge fluxers 2 times for free. And then you still have a cheat activated more if they go super wide. So yeah, quick dodge fluxers is a very solidly good card. It fits in a lot of decks offensively, and that's why it makes it a number 4. Number 4, quick dodge flexors. At number 3, we have Dual Threat. Dual Threat is a yellow 0-cost generic action and blocks for 3, and it says if you've attacked with a weapon this turn, the next attack action card you play this turn gets +3, and then if you've attacked with an attack action card this turn, your next weapon attack this turn gets +3. So this reads like a generic card, but it's really just a ninja card, specifically a Harmonious Kodachi card. If you get both conditions, Dual Threat becomes a 1-card, 6-value card. For example, if you're playing Ira, which is probably the best choice for Dual Threat, you can pitch a blue to attack with Kodachi, and then you can also activate Pouncing Paws to attack for 1 from Ira's ability, and Pouncing Paws creates a Crouching Tiger in your mana zone. Crouching Tiger. And the Crouching Tiger is an attack action, so now you've satisfied both of Dual Threat's conditions, so you play Dual Threat, and so your next Kodachi comes in for 4, and then you end with Sentence for 8. So you threaten 14 damage with 3 cards plus 1 equipment use, which is 5 points above average card value. This card is insanely good at numbers, and I really want to see where people use it next, because I think this card is bonkers. It's also hilariously good in Prism, by the way. In Living Legend Prism, because it is yellow, it turns, and Luminaris, the original Luminaris, turns auras into weapons. So if you pitch a yellow and then attack with an aura as Prism, that counts as a weapon attack, and then you swing with a Herald or like a Warchin Herald, and it would go again. And you satisfy both conditions pretty easily. So I think Dual Threat has a lot of potential as a really good numbers card, and that's why it makes it above this list. And Dual Threat, I think, offensively is just way better value than Quick Dodge Flexors, even though Quick Dodge Flexors is an equipment, which is pretty good. So that's number 3, Dual Threat. Number 2 is Shelter from the Storm. Some people might have seen that one already. It's a red 0-cost defense reaction, generic. Blocks for 4. You can either choose it to play as a defense reaction that blocks for 4, or if you have Shelter from the Storm in your hand, you can discard it to the ability to prevent 1 damage for the next 3 times your dealt damage this turn. So notably, you cannot play the instant ability from Arsenal. It only blocks for 4 from Arsenal, so it only does a generic defense reaction, block for 4 from Arsenal. But if you have it in your hand, you can discard it to the ability to prevent the next 1 damage, prevent the 1 damage for the next 3 times you dealt damage this turn. So it's pretty good against go white effects like daggers, like Hunter's Clave or Syndra's Daggers. It can stop 3 Rune Chants by itself. You can discard Shelter from Storm, basically act as a blue pitch for the Rune Chants. It's pretty good against Aurora. Aurora has a lot of breakpoints, so Shelter from Storm can block 3 breakpoints, or help block 3 breakpoints with a few other cards. And it also prevents Flick Knives from doing damage, which still destroys a dagger, because Flick Knives always destroys a dagger, even though the dagger will not hit while you take nothing. I think Shelter from the Storm is a very solid card. I think a lot of people picked up on that. This card is very, like, super staple, I think. So if you see any Shelter from the Storms, make sure you try to pick up a playset of them when you do your drafts or open packs or sealed or anything like that from pre-release. Yeah. So that's number 2, Shelter from the Storm. Number 1, you guys might have already guessed this one. I've talked about this card multiple times on this list, and I had not brought it up a single time because I think this card is the strongest card in the set, and that's Hunter's Clave. Hunter's Clave is an assassin weapon, 1-handed dagger. It says once per turn, action, 2 resources, attack, go again. And it says when this hits a hero, you mark them. And it also has piercing 1, so if you defend it with an equipment, it gets +1. I really don't like the design of this card. This is just a rant. But during spoiler season, we got to see Mark of the Huntsman, which is the weapon for limited. I think it's cool design because you can choose to break the dagger to mark an opponent. So it's like a huge risk and rewards mentality with the Mark of the Huntsman. It also incentivizes you to try like other cards that mark the opponent. But now with Hunter's Clave, it's pretty easy to mark the opponent since this card just randomly gets piercing, so they can't block with like a 1 block equipment to block the mark. Unlike Mistblade, from Beckoning Mistblade from Mistveil. So now because of Hunter's Clave, all of the mark payoff cards are really, really good now. Flick Knives can guarantee a mark with Hunter's Clave, or almost guarantee it because you just flick the Hunter's Clave and deal 1 to mark them. Mark of the Black Widow is pretty good because you either take a card from your opponent away, either they block the Hunter's Clave, or they block Mark of the Black Widow, which comes in for 3, or they take the on hit from Mark of the Black Widow and banish a card from the hand. So Mark of the Black Widow is very good now because of Hunter's Clave. Arachne Marionette gets a lot of very easy +1 bonuses to their stealth attacks, like Mark of the Black Widow, for example, because it's so easy to mark. And finally, it's now easy to play Take Up the Mantle for its full value. This card just enables all the mark decks pretty easily. And I think this card is the strongest card in the Hunted because of how much it just changes assassin decks. Yeah, very powerful weapon. So that's number 1, Hunter's Clave. And yeah, that's my top 10 list for the top 10 classic constructed cards from the Hunted. Did I miss a card that you think that should have been on this list, or did I put it in a card that you disagree with? Should I have put Quick Dodge Flexors at the very top of the list? Who knows? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care, everyone.